Hello and welcome back to the channel, and today we have something of a head-to-head. Yes indeed, straight from your favourite German discount supermarket, Aldi, or at least my favourite. Yeah, we have two beers that, in essence, I think we can all agree are, well, an original-ish, more on that later, and a cheap interpretation. Now, whether these are actually meant to be one of the same, it's hard to tell, but I think it'd be worth putting them head to head anyway, especially given that, well, I bought these both from Aldi, and what was quite amusing was they sat them immediately next to each other on the shelves as well. I saw it and just went, well, we've got to find out, haven't we? Which one is the one to go for? The original, Birra Moretti, or the one I'm less familiar with, Birra Mapelli, or Mapelli, whichever the pronunciation is in this case. So yeah, two European lagers, one a little less European than I would have liked, but again, more on that in a bit. But yeah, let's just get straight into them and find out which is better, Birra Moretti, Birra Mapelli. For this test then, I've got two almost identical pint glasses, one from Black Isle Brewery, one from Lord's Brewing Co. I've just realised I've done that the wrong way around, but it doesn't matter. You get the idea. These glasses are nigh on identical. There's a slightly thicker base to the Black Isle one, but yeah, they're the same shape. They're both designed for lager, so that's good to go. And I'm just going to drop them down, and that's the order we're doing them in. So, first off, we'll pour the one we're familiar with, the Birra Moretti, just for those of you, in case you've forgotten what it looks like. Here we go, Birra Moretti L'Authentica. Again, something that I will question later on, but, you know, normal Birra Moretti stuff. And then next up, of course, the relative newcomer, Birra Mapelli Italia Premium Lager. I'll be honest, it's not a bad looking bottle. It's a skinny old thing, but let's crack it open. So both are all in the glass. Both bottles are completely empty. There's an immediate obvious difference. The head on the original Birra Moretti is a little bit tighter, and there's a bit less of it. We've got kind of big bubbles going on over here. Initially, when I poured them, when they were kind of, I guess, fresh in glass immediately, only maybe 45 seconds to 2 minutes has passed since the pouring of the first one anyway. But, you know, my feeling was that actually the Mapelli poured a bit nicer, looked a bit more appealing, but it's quickly dying down. And actually, since I've started talking, the head on that really is dying out. Whether there's a difference in the glass slightly in the Lord's glass, meaning it's slightly more just, I don't know, it's better at keeping that head retention. There is a bit more carbonation going on in the Birra Moretti, but also there is a colour difference. It's only slight, and it will be probably a bit easier for me to see it than you. But if I can point your attention to the bottom half of each glass, where you can kind of see my fingers just now, if I pull them away and you can see through to the white unit underneath, Birra Mapelli is actually a bit darker. It suggests a bit more malt base possibly, and you know, it could just be, I don't know, it's interesting. I wouldn't have expected the cheaper one to be the darker of the two, is all I'm really saying. Just for reference, the ABV on these is 4.6 on the Mapelli and 4.6 on the Moretti, so there are even Stevens in that department. But yeah, let's just get into it and give it a go. I'm going to go for the Moretti first because I know what that's like. I've had it enough times, and to be honest, a few years ago I was quite a big fan. But yeah, let's give it a go. Cheers. It's actually quite sharp. It's got some sweetness there. There is some malt base to it. It's got a bit of a metallic edge that some cheaper lagers tend to acquire, and that metallicness is coming through on the nose quite a lot as well. It's a decent mouthfeel. I think all the carbonation is staying in the glass and getting rattled round. When you take a sip, it's actually not that fizzy, but it is refreshing. It's okay, and it tastes a bit like a cheap British lager, if I'm honest, but for good reason. And I think you probably already know what I'm going to say. and it's what I've been alluding to, but this beer is now brewed in the UK. Or at least, should I say, this beer, when you buy it in the UK, unless it comes from an import specialist, has been brewed here now, which is very unfortunate, but we'll go into a bit more detail on that later. On to then the Birra Mapelli. The head's completely gone. It doesn't look that appealing. It's very clear in the glass, I'll give it that. It doesn't have that metallic aroma. Or at least nowhere near as much as the Moretti. Let's give it a go. Cheers. I don't know what I was expecting, but it has no real taste, but in a good and bad way. Let me just go back over here for a second. The Moretti is a bit creamier, has more body, that head retention helps with that, and it is undeniably a little more flavourful. But the Mapelli, I think, might be closer to a proper Italian lager. It's super refreshing. There's not a lot of hop character. There's not a lot of malt character, if we're honest. But there's no off flavours either. That metallic note's gone. There's no super bitter twang that's just a bit of a step over what you're expecting. It's really quite... It's reserved. But there is a light floral, light malt character right at the end that... Actually... I think if you were only drinking this, you would appreciate quite a lot. This is interesting, and I did not expect it to be that way round. We'll take a quick look at the bottles in a second. I'm just going to come back over here. Yeah, that has got that distinct brick lager twang that, to be honest, is appalling. So anyway, let's take a look at the bottles. So I'm going to start with the newcomer, the Birra Mapelli. The text isn't the easiest to read, actually, in this light. It's kind of, well, dark gold on light gold label, which is not the easiest, but I will read what I can for you. So there are 85 calories per half pint, which is absolutely normal. Normal drink responsibly stuff. What I really want to know is where this was made. It was specially produced for Aldi stores, Warwickshire, and Aldi stores in Ireland, which is no surprise. But where, oh where, were you made? Oh, that's interesting. On the front, Italia Premium Lager, made with German and Austrian barley malt. That is interesting. There is actually no giveaway on this bottle to say where it was actually brewed, but I'll do my best to track that info down in a moment. First, though, we'll take a quick look at the Birra Moretti bottle and read what's on the back of there, because there is a bit more information. And it says, Birra Moretti was founded in 1859 and is still brewed today with our traditional recipe to create a full-bodied golden beer known around the world for its quality taste. The ingredients are water, malted barley, maize, hops, hop extract. I'm sorry to say you were not making this with hop extract in 1859, so you cheaped out on us somewhere. And for real, just kicking the teeth, brewed in the UK by Heineken. I mean, no one's surprised, but I am disappointed. It's all I can really tell you. 37 calories per 100 ml is all it gives us there. Is that the same as this one? Per 100 ml, 30 calories, same ABV, and that one is a reasonable chunk lower in the waste expanding department, so worth keeping in mind. The best before on the Mapelli is also a lot further ahead than the Moretti. The Moretti goes out of date at the end of this year, whereas the Mapelli is good for more than a year, which means that is probably a lot fresher than this one is. That is interesting. Right then, I'm going to find out where on earth the Mapelli is actually brewed. Right, I don't have any concrete information, but the thing that I could glean is that it's very, very possible that this Birra Mapelli is brewed in the UK, which is probably not a huge surprise. We make a lot of cheap lager here. This is a cheap lager. But also by Heineken, which really puts these two on such an incredibly level playing field, it hurts, right? They're the same ABV, they're made by the same person in the same country, entirely possible it's made in the same damn brewery. So how do we argue this? And here's a problem. The Moretti was on offer today. It was about 30p a bottle more expensive than Mapelli, but it's normally about £1 more expensive, something like that. As you can probably tell, while the Moretti does have much better mouthfeel and maybe some traits that I would more associate with a premium offering, I think I'd save my money and buy the Mapelli, because I think if you drank it on your own, some cheaper off notes might start to come through from this. But there's so many in this Moretti, this UK brewed version, that frankly it's not worth bothering with, because it's not really premium at all. Okay, they've managed to up the mouthfeel a little bit, which I guess explains also the slightly higher calorie count. I know we're not bothered about calorie counts when we're talking about beer particularly, but it is an interesting thing to consider. This beer tastes as good, if not better, arguably. It maybe has a bit less flavour, but overall I think it's on a level playing field at worst. Okay, it suffers a little bit in terms of thickness, mouthfeel and everything else, but the calories are less, the ABV is the same, and it's a hell of a lot cheaper. So, Birra Mapelli, if you're an Aldi, don't bother with the brand name. And that really is all I have to say about it. So as always, thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like it. If you haven't already, subscribe if you will be so kind, and I'll catch you next time. Cheers.